Bulbasaur is based on a frog. In particular, its short legs, stout appearance, and ear-like protrusions on its head make it resemble horned frogs. According to Ken Sugimura and Atsuko Nishida, the latter designed Bulbasaur working backwards from Venusaur, meaning Bulbasaur was the last of its evolutionary family to have been designed, and was also directly based on Venusaur. The bulb on its back resembles a lily or an onion. And its Japanese name, Fushigidane, may be a combination of Fushigi, which is strange or mysterious, and Tane, which means seed, as well as a pun on the phrase Fushigi Dane, isn't it strange? Of its evolutionary family, Ivysaur was the first to be created, years before Bulbasaur, Venusaur, or the concept of evolution was conceived, as it was one of the original monsters created for the Capsule Monsters pitch. Venusaur and Bulbasaur's designs were created afterward. The bud on its back resembles a rafflesia flower, and the leaves around the bud resemble palms. And its Japanese name, Fushigiso, may be a combination of Fushigi, strange or mysterious, and So, grass, as well as the pun on the phrase Fushigiso, it seems strange. Unlike Bulbasaur, Venusaur's ears have hollows, indicating that they are in fact ears and not glands, as seen in many species of frogs and toads. Due to the English name of this Pokemon containing the suffix "saur", it is common for some fans to believe that this Pokemon is based on some prehistoric reptile. However, this Pokemon's original Japanese name, Fushigibana, makes no reference to reptiles, so believing that Venusaur is based on some reptile should be considered erroneous and false. Its Japanese name, Fushigibana, may be a combination of Fushigi, which is strange or mysterious, and Hana, which is flower. Charmander's design was based on Charizard in such a way that it was surprising to see it evolving into the latter Pokemon. In particular, Charmander was designed as a lizard, possibly referencing the mythical salamander, as salamanders are very similar to lizards. This salamander was a fire spirit capable of surviving in extreme heat or flames, and it's sometimes creatively rendered or interpreted in the shape of a lizard. As Charizard is based on a European dragon, Charmander's lizard-like design seems to reference how Western dragons in folklore are heavily inspired by lizards and other reptiles, as well as how various types of lizards are likened and named after dragons due to this connection. Its bipedal design resembles a baby theropod dinosaur. And its Japanese name Hitokage may be a combination of Hi, fire, and Tokage, lizard, forming together the word Hitokage, or mythical salamander. Charmeleon's design is almost identical to Charmander's, and so there's nothing new to say except that its Japanese name Lizardo is a transcription of the English word lizard. Charizard may be based on European dragons, which are heavily associated with the element of fire in European folklore. This draconic appearance would later be reflected in the fire dragon typing of Mega Charizard X. Like its pre-evolved form, it may also take inspiration from lizards, dinosaurs, and the mythical salamander. Its English and Japanese nomenclature may be a reference to how Western dragons are heavily inspired by lizards and other reptiles. Its Japanese name, Lizardon, may be a combination of lizard and either dragon or don, which is a common suffix in dinosaur names derived from the ancient Greek word for tooth. Squirtle's design is based on both its final evolved form and baby turtles, though its anatomy and semi-aquatic lifestyle are much more similar to terrapins, with proportions matching those of the big-headed turtle. And its Japanese name, Zenigame, may be a combination of zeni, money, and kame, turtle, forming the word Zenigame, baby Japanese pond turtle. According to Pokemon Black and White's television program PokeQuiz, Zeni is an old-fashioned word for money. Zenigami's shells look like old coins, so that's how they got their name. Wartortle's design appears to be a stylized turtle. Its feathery tail is a reference to Japanese legends of the Minogame, a turtle which lived for 10,000 years and grew a tail made of seaweed. The use of its tail to store oxygen seems to be a reference to certain turtles that breathe through their cloaca, placed near the tail. The tail also resembles wind waves. And its Japanese name, Kamale, may be a combination of kame, turtle or tortoise, and tail. Blastoise's design appears to be a turtle mixed with the aspects of a tank. Blastoise's cannons may have been derived from the functioning tubes found in mussels and some other shellfish, thus its category. Gigantamax Blastoise's shell may be based on a battleship. It may also be based on Leonardo da Vinci's design for an armoured fighting vehicle, which itself is inspired by a turtle shell. And its Japanese name Kamex may be a combination of Kame, which is tortoise or turtle, and Maxu, which is max or maximum. Caterpie is based on a caterpillar. perhaps specifically the Asian swallowtail, eastern tiger swallowtail, or spicebush swallowtail due to its green body, yellow eye spots, and red osmeterium. The tip of its tail resembles the horn that many species of hawk moth larvae have on their rear ends. Caterpie's Japanese name is also Caterpie and is just a corruption/shortening of the word caterpillar. Metapod seems to be based on a butterfly chrysalis, possibly that of the cabbage white butterfly due to its pointed shape and green colour. And its Japanese name Transcell may be a combination of transform and cell, or possibly a pun on randoseru, school bag. Butterfree seems to be based on the black-veined white butterfly, and its Japanese name is still Butterfree, which is a combination of butterfly and free. It may also involve pata pata, the sound of wings flapping, and furu, to flap. Weedle appears to be based on a wasp or bee larvae and needles or stings, as suggested by its Japanese Pokémon category. It may also be based on stinging caterpillars. And its Japanese name Beedle may be a combination of bee and needle. Kakuna appears to be based on the pupal stage of a bee or a wasp. Its tendency to dangle from a thread, as seen in the anime and some spin-off games, may also be based on certain parasitoid wasps whose larvae construct hanging cocoons, and its Japanese name, cocoon, means cocoon. Beedrill is based on a bee or a wasp, possibly the Japanese honeybee, Asian giant hornet, or yellow jacket. Its pointed arms resemble spears, while Mega Beedrill swaps them for lances. Its shiny colour scheme is similar to metallic green sweat bees, and its Japanese name Spear is literally spear. It may also be derived from Apis, the genus name of the honeybee, spelled backwards. Despite its name, Pidgey more closely resembles various passerine birds, especially the female house sparrow, than it does a pigeon. However, there have been references in the anime to Pidgeymale, which is an allusion to homing pigeons. The black markings around its eyes are reminiscent of Ra and Horus, the sun and sky gods of Egyptian mythology who are depicted with the heads of falcons. And its Japanese name Popo may be derived from Popo, the onomatopoeic sound of a pigeon's coo. Despite its name, Pidgeotto does not resemble a pigeon so much as it does a bird of prey, such as an osprey or an eagle, due to its large size and predatory behaviour. It also shares some characteristics with various passerine birds such as sparrows, chickadees, waxwings, and wrens. Its red crest is somewhat similar to the crest of cockatoos, and its Japanese name Pigeon is literally pigeon. Despite its name, Pidgeot does not resemble a pigeon so much as it does a bird of prey, such as an osprey or an eagle, due to its large size and predatory behaviour. Its shiny colours in particular resemble a golden eagle. Mega Pidgeot's crest seems to be inspired by punk hairstyles. And its Japanese name Pidgeot may be a combination of pigeon and jet, referring to its speedy flight. Rattata appears to be based on a rat or a mouse. Its large ears are similar to a Dumbo rat. A lowland Rattata appears to be based on the black rat, brown rat, or Polynesian rat, all of which are invasive species to Hawaii. Their attacks on sugarcane fields caused the locals to import the small Indian mongoose into Hawaii as a form of pest control, explaining the relationship between Yungoos and Gumshoes and Rattata and Raticate. Its thieving behaviour and tendency to work in groups under the command of a Raticate are reminiscent of a gangster. The shape of its whiskers resembles the knot of a hokomuri, a cloth wrapped around the head and tied under the nose as a form of disguise, typically worn by thieves in Japanese media for comedic effect. And its Japanese name Korata may be a combination of ko, child, or ko, small, and rat. Carbink is a rock, and rocks are hard. But I was thinking, well, I can finally beat a rock type. He's like the size of my hand. Just pick him up and beat him against something till he ceases to exist. And then the Dex decided to ruin my day by saying that it can fire high energy beams from the gem on its head, which sounds like I'm going to get clapped by this little rock boy. I lose against Carbink. Raticate is based on a rat, as well as a semi-aquatic rodent such as a muskrat or a koipu, due to its large size and webbed feet. Its scruffy ears are similar to a guinea pig. Its gluttonous behaviour, ability to command groups of Rattata to steal, and hostile relationship with the detective-inspired Gumshoes are reminiscent of a stereotypical crime boss. It has cheek pouches similar to chipmunks and hamsters, and its Japanese name Ratta may be derived from ratto, which means rat. Spearow seems to be based on a sparrow with characteristics of a shriek, such as its hooked beak. Shrieks are territorial and are sometimes called butcher birds due to their brutal feeding habits, which may be the basis for Spearow's aggressive nature. and its Japanese name, Onosuzumi, may be a combination of Oni, ogre, and Suzumi, sparrow. Pharaoh seems to be based on various predatory birds, particularly vultures and condors due to its long neck, sharp beak, shaggy feathers, broad wings, and soaring flight. The comb on its head is similar to a rooster's comb or a mohawk hairstyle. Its long neck and beak are also reminiscent of various water birds, such as cormorants, darters, storks, and herons, particularly the Goliath heron. Its Pokédex entries describe multiple hunting methods, either dive-bombing prey like falcons and hawks, or probing through soil and water like sandpipers and snipes. And its Japanese name, Onidrill, may be a combination of Oni, demon, Tori, bird, and Doriru, drill. Ekin seem to be based on various snakes. Its venomous bite and tail rattle are similar to a rattlesnake, while its lack of visible teeth and diet of eggs are similar to an egg-eating snake. The single yellow stripe around its neck is reminiscent of the ring-necked snake, and the line connecting its eyes is reminiscent of the marking on the back of the Indian cobra's hood. The fact that it is in the dragon egg group and its ability to learn glare may be a reference to the legendary basilisk, a venomous serpentine dragon said to be able to kill people with its stare. And its Japanese name Arbo may be derived from cobra or boa spelled backwards. Arbok may be based on the king cobra, which is the world's largest venomous snake. Its powerful constriction is reminiscent of boas, anacondas, and pythons. Its frightening face-like belly patterns may be inspired by masks or face paint. And its Japanese name is the same as its English name, which is just cobra backwards, and with the C replaced with a K. Nishida named the Pokemon Pikachu without giving it much thought, and while it wasn't originally intended to be based on a mouse, Game Freak CEO Satoshi Tajiri made the decision to base it on such. During the process of making Pikachu cuter, as per the instructions of game designer Koji Nishino, Nishida added cheek pouches for it to store electricity in. These were inspired by squirrels which store food in their cheeks. Pikachu's yellow coloration and lightning bolt shaped tail were given to express Pikachu's electrical attributes and make its type easier to recognize and understand. According to Nishida, Pikachu's stripes aren't based on anything in particular and were added to fill the empty space on Pikachu's back, as it is always visible during battle. Pikachu's Gigantamax form is a reference to its earlier, more rotund design from generations 1 and 2. And its Japanese name is still Pikachu, which is a combination of Pika Pika, the onomatopoeia for sparkle, and Choo Choo, the sound of a mouse squeaking. Raichu's legs and long tail resemble those of a jaboa or kangaroo rat. Alolan Raichu may be based on the concept of surfing Pikachu and the sport of surfing itself, which originated in Hawaii, the inspiration for the Alola region. Its design and psychic typing may have been influenced by Puka, a surfing Pikachu that appeared in Pokémon the series which had psychic powers and blue eyes. In the Pokémon Stadium series, Colosseum, XD, and Battle Revolution, Raichu rides on its tail when using the move Surf. According to Ken Sugimori, he asked Atsuko Nishida to design Alolan Raichu since she was the one who'd worked on the original Raichu design. Nishida insisted that Raichu has always been cuter than people might think, and designed Alolan Raichu to emphasize Raichu's cuteness. In particular, she designed it with the motif of bread. The fact that Alolan Raichu is designed after bread may have also inspired the sweet fragrance it can release from its cheeks, as well as the look of its paws which resembled whipped cream decorations, cream puffs, or baozai. And its Japanese name is also Raichu, which is a combination of Rai, thunder, and Choo Choo, the onomatopoeia for the squeak of a mouse. Sandshrew may be based on the armadillo or pangolin, mammals with hard scales and sharp claws, can curl up into a ball, and live in desert regions. Both Sandshrew and Sandslash are mentioned to have poisonous claws, similar to how some species of the shrew are venomous. Alolan Sandshrew seems to also be based on an igloo and a curling stone. And its Japanese name is Sand. I think you know where this comes from. Sandslash shares various physical traits with the pangolin. It also draws from hedgehogs, porcupines, and echidnas due to its coloration and having spikes instead of scales. Both Sandshrew and Sandslash are mentioned to have poisonous claws, similar to how some species of the shrew are venomous. Alolan Sandslash's hooked claws combined with its ability to ice climb seem to be inspired by ice axes, and its Japanese name Sandpan is a combination of sand and pangolin. Nidoran female appears to draw inspiration from various characteristics of legomorphs and rodents, with aspects of venomous mammals. It may also reference the mythical moon rabbit due to its rabbit-like appearance and the fact that it reaches its final evolved form using the moonstone. The coloration of Nidoran and its evolutions may be a reference to the gendered associations of pink and blue in previous centuries. And its Japanese name is still Nidoran female. It may be derived from needle, with female as an indication of its female gender. It may also involve Nido, twice, It may also be derived from nidor, a strong and pleasant smell. Nidorina appears to draw inspiration from rabbits, porcupines, and rhinos with aspects of venomous mammals. And its Japanese name is also Nidorina, and it may be a combination of needle, rhinoceros, and ina, the feminine diminutive suffix in Spanish and Italian. Nidoqueen appears to share traits of kaiju, rhinoceroses, gorillas, rabbits, and porcupines, and is most likely based on its male counterpart, Nidoking. The coverings on its chest and lower abdomen collectively resemble a two-piece bikini, and its Japanese name is also the same as its English and may be a combination of needle and queen. All three of the Nidoran male line are named and designed the same as the Nidoran female line, but with the female stuff swapped with the male. The only other information of note that I can find is that in the Chinese translations of the Nidoran female line, it includes the word orchid to refer to their femininity, and in the male line it includes king to refer to them being male. Clefairy seems to be based on fairies and pixies since it's a playful, magical, humanoid creature with wings. It may also be inspired by the concept of extraterrestrial life due to its rumoured celestial origins and vaguely star-shaped body. It may also reference the mythical moon rabbit due to its large ears, various moon-related powers, and the fact that it evolves into Clefable using a moonstone. And its Japanese name Pippi may be derived from the repetition of the first syllable of pixie. Vulpix may be based on a red fox and the kitsune of Japanese legend, which is said to have many tails, extremely long lifespans, and supernatural powers such as the ability to breathe fire. After reaching an advanced age, kitsune take on spirit forms, which may explain why Vulpix can learn various ghost type and psychic type moves. A lowland Vulpix may be based on an arctic fox, which grows a white coat of fur in the winter to camouflage in the snow. And its Japanese name Rokon may be a combination of Roku, 6, Kon, the onomatopoeic sound of a fox's cry, and Konro, which means gas stove. It may also involve Kon, which means grudge, from the curse its evolution may cast on its foes. And as a bonus, the people of Alola refer to a lowland Vulpix as Kio-Kio, which may be derived from Kio-Keo, which is Hawaiian for white. Ninetales may be based on a red fox and the kitsune of Japanese legend, which is said to have many tails, extremely long lifespans, and supernatural powers such as the ability to breathe fire. Specifically, it may be based on the Kyubi no Kitsune, whose fur turns white gold after it has lived for 1,000 years and gains its 9th tail. Alola Ninetales' mountain habitat and lore as a deity incarnation may be a reference to Poliahu, the Hawaiian goddess of snow who's said to reside on Mauna Kea. It could also be inspired by Tuliketu, a mythical fox creature of Finnish lore whose radiant fur is said to be responsible for the creation of the Northern Lights. The Finnish word for aurora, revontulet, also literally translates to foxfires, which could be intentional as Ninetales' original form is a fire type. And its Japanese name Kyukon may be a combination of Q, 9, or Kubiko, nine-tailed fox, and Kon, the onomatopoeic sound of a fox's cry. It may also involve Qkon, old grudge, and Konro, gas stove. Jigglypuff seems to be based on a balloon due to its inflatable body. Its soft fur and singing ability may be based on plush toys that play music to help children fall asleep. Its round shape resembles a powder puff or a cream puff, and its pink colour, rubbery skin, and ability to learn bounce are similar to a rubber ball. It may also be inspired by the mythical moon rabbit due to its evolved form Wigglytuff's large ears, fairy type, which tends to be associated with the moon, and the fact that it evolves using a moonstone. And its Japanese name Purin may refer to Purin, which means pudding, which obviously refers to its soft body. It may also involve Puchi, which means petite, and pretty. Wigglytuff's origin is identical to Jigglypuff, balloons, moon rabbit, powder puff, etc. But its Japanese name Pukurin may be a combination of Puku Puku, which means cute and chubby, Puri Puri, angrily or in a huff, which refers to its personality, Kuri Kuri, big and round, and Purin, which means pudding. It may also involve Fusen, balloon, and Fukureru, to become inflated. Zubat is based on a bat, particularly vampire bats, which bite other animals to feed on their blood. Its poison type may be inspired by either the anticoagulant properties of vampire bat saliva or the fact that bats are infamous for spreading deadly diseases such as rabies. Its lack of eyes could be a reference to troglomorphism, which is the adaptation for a species of creature to live in complete darkness, and may additionally be influenced by the misconception that bats are blind due to their use of echolocation to navigate. The claim that Zubat will suffer burns when exposed to sunlight may be inspired by mythological vampires. And its Japanese name is still Zubat, which may be a combination of bat and Zubato, which means piercingly. Golbat is the same as Zubat, as it seems to be based on a bat, particularly vampire bats, which bite other animals to feed on their blood. Its poison type may be inspired by either the anticoagulant properties of vampire bat saliva or the fact that bats are infamous for spreading deadly diseases such as rabies. Its gaping maw could be a caricature of mythological vampires. And its Japanese name is still Golbat and may be a combination of gore, ghoul, and bat. Oddish seems to be based on a mandrake, plants from the Mandragora genus whose roots sometimes resemble human figures. Its habit of screaming when yanked out of the ground may be a reference to the myth that mandrakes will emit a deadly cry when uprooted. Its round body is also similar to various bulbous plants such as onions, as well as root vegetables such as radishes and turnips. Its leaves are similar in shape to those of the snake plant. And its Japanese name, Nazo-no-kusa, may be a play on Nazo no Kusa, which means enigmatic herb. Gloom seems to be based on the budding stage of Rafflesia, a genus of parasitic plants known for their large, foul-smelling flowers. Its brown leaves may also allude to its parasitic origins, as if the flower is draining nutrients away from Oddish's formerly green leaves and causing them to wilt. Female gloom resemble Rafflesia hasseltii due to the larger spots on their petals. Its tendency to emit a foul odour when it feels threatened is similar to a skunk and comes from Rafflesia's rotting flesh smell. The fact that its pungent pollen can be made into a fragrant perfume may be a reference to musk, an aromatic substance secreted from the glands of various animals that is a common perfume ingredient but smells unpleasant in high concentrations. And its Japanese name, Kusai Hana, may be derived from Kusai Hana, stinking flower. Vileplume seems to be based on Rafflesia, a genus of parasitic plants known for their large, foul-smelling flowers. It's especially similar to Rafflesia arnoldi, which produces the largest single flower on Earth. Female Vileplume resemble Rafflesia hasseltii due to the larger spots on their petals. Its habit of attracting prey with its petals before immobilizing and devouring them is similar to the behavior of various carnivorous plants. And its Japanese name, Rafflesia, may be derived from Rafflesia. The fungus on Paris is identified as Tochukaso, an endoparasitoid that replaces the host tissue and can affect the behavior of its insect host. The base insect appears to be a cicada nymph. In concept, it could be inspired by ants that are infected with mushroom spores that take control of the host ant's brain and sprout from its head or back. It may also draw inspiration from Massospora, a genus of fungi which includes species that specifically infect cicadas. And its Japanese name Paris may be derived from parasite, referring to the parasitic mushroom growing on its back. Parasect resembles a cicada nymph. It may also be based on a hermit crab with a mushroom for a shell. In concept, it could be inspired by ants that are infected with mushroom spores that take control of the host ant's brain and sprout from its head or back. The fungus on Parasect is identified as Tochukaso. Tochukaso is the Japanese name of the real-world fungus Ophiocordyceps sinensis, an endoparasitoid that replaces the host tissue and can affect its behavior. It may also draw inspiration from Massospora, a genus of fungi which includes species that specifically infect cicadas. And its Japanese name is still Parasect and may be a combination of parasite and insect. Venonat seems to draw inspiration from multiple insects, which may include fleas, mites, flies, owl flies, flightless moths, and or venomous caterpillars. Its large compound eyes function like radar and resemble parabolic antennas. And its Japanese name Kongpang may be derived from compound eye, which is a visual organ found in insects, or konchu, which means insect. Venomoth seems to be based on swallowtail moths, many of which are toxic. Its face and insect diet suggest that it may also draw inspiration from lacewings, which, like many moths, are attracted to lights at night. Its shiny coloration is similar to a blue morpho butterfly, and its Japanese name Morphon may be derived from metamorphosis or the butterfly genus Morpho. Diglett appears to be based on an artificial mole used in the Whack-A-Mole arcade games. This is referenced by its full health phrase in Pokémon Mystery Dungeon, Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team, "Please don't whack me on the head." Alolan Diglett's hair may be based on Pele's hair, a thin volcanic glass formed near Hawaiian volcanoes. The darker soil surrounding its body may be a reference to black sand, which is found on beaches near volcanoes. Its steel type may be a reference to another kind of magnetic black sand found in placer deposits. And its Japanese name Digda may be derived from the word dig. Dugtrio is based on artificial whack-a-moles like Diglett. Now, a lowland Dugtrio has all the design choices of a lowland Diglett with a few extra choices. Its steel type may be a reference to another kind of magnetic black sand found in placer deposits. It also resembles a stereotypical Southern California surfer with tan skin and blonde hair. And its Japanese name is still Dugtrio, which is a combination of Doug and Trio. Who'd have guessed? Meowth seems to be based upon the Japanese legend of the Maneki Neko, also known as the Lucky Cat or Beckoning Cat. According to one legend, a cat raised its paw to welcome a lord and saved his life when a lightning bolt hit the spot where he'd been standing. Maneki Neko are often used as charms in restaurants and shops to bring customers fortune and good luck. Statues of the cat are usually depicted holding a koban, an ancient coin used in Japan, like the one on Meowth's head. Meowth's colour and pattern suggests that it also draws inspiration from Siamese cats. Its Japanese Pokemon category also suggests it is based on a Bakeneko. Unlike the normal Meowth, a lowland Meowth appears to be based more on domestic cats that underwent selective breeding, specifically those owned by royalty. In particular, its appearance resembles the British Blue colour variant of the British Shorthair, an imported breed known well for its large and rounded head and pronounced smile, which the breed developed through artificial selection as part of the process of developing its pedigree. Based on its appearance and sword Pokédex entry, Galarian Meowth may be based on Norwegian forest cats, large fluffy cats with beard-like ruffs, or European wildcats with traits of the Vikings that kept the breed's presumed ancestors on their ships. Gigantamax Meowth's elongated body may be based on a sketch from Monty Python's Flying Circus about a giant cat with outstretched arms, and the long cat meme. And its Japanese name Nyarth may be a play on nya, the sound a cat makes in Japanese. Persian appears to be more based on large cats such as leopards and cougars than Persian cats. It also appears similar to Siamese cats, and its species in Japanese is Shamuneko, meaning Siamese cat. The gem on its head makes it resemble a carbuncle, a Latin American mythological beast that had a jewel on its forehead. Unlike the normal Persian, a lowland Persian appears to be based more on domestic cats that underwent selective breeding, specifically those owned by royalty. In particular, its appearance greatly resembles a British Shorthair, an import breed known well for its large and rounded head and pronounced smile, which the breed developed through artificial selection as part of the process of developing its pedigree. Its blue jewel and grey fur may be a visual pun on the British Blue colour variant. Due to its large head and mannerisms, it may also be a visual pun on the term of being big-headed. And its Japanese name is still Persian, and it may refer to Persian cats or possibly Persian leopards. It also could be related to purr, the onomatopoeia for the noise a cat makes when content. Psyduck's design appears to draw inspiration from both ducks and platypuses. Its yellow coloration, proportions, and simple anatomy seem to be inspired by rubber ducks in particular. And its Japanese name Koduck may be a combination of ko, small, or ko, child, and duck. Golduck's appearance has aspects of a duck, a platypus, and a kappa. And its Japanese name is still Golduck and may be a combination of gold and duck. While Golduck itself is not coloured gold, gold is often used to symbolise the psychic abilities. The gold gummy is the gummy variety loved by psychic-type Pokemon, and the Marsh Badge's Japanese name is the Gold Badge. Mankey's categorization as the pig-monkey Pokemon, along with its pig-like nose, may be inspired by the southern pig-tailed macaque. It also shares a similar colour scheme and shaggy fur with this primate. Given its long tail, habitat, and overall personality, Mankey has much in common with baboons and snub-nosed monkeys. And its Japanese name is still Mankey and may be a combination of man and monkey. It may also involve mad and cranky. Primate's categorization as the pig-monkey Pokemon, along with its pig-like nose, may be inspired by the southern pig-tailed macaque. It also shares a similar colour scheme and shaggy fur with this primate. Given its long tail, habitat, and overall personality, Primeape has much in common with baboons and snub-nosed monkeys. In addition, Primeape's hands look like boxing gloves, and it appears to be wearing metal weights on its wrists and ankles. And its Japanese name Okorizaru is probably derived from Okorizaru, which means angry monkey. Growlithe may be based on Japanese statues called shisa that resemble a mix between lions and dogs. They may also originate from Chinese shi or Japanese komainu, which are guardian statues that also resemble lion and dog mixes and are sometimes incorrectly called foo dogs in the West. Both shisa and shi statues alike are often found in pairs, believed to invite good luck, and used as guardians, which may have inspired Growlithe's protective nature. Its stripes and coloration are reminiscent of tigers. It may also draw inspiration from dogs with brindle, tiger-striped coat patterns, such as the Kai Ken. In its Hisuian form, its rock typing and appearance may be based on the Komainu statues, and its Japanese name Guardi may refer to its abilities as a guard dog, as a corruption of guard and guardian. Arcanine may be based on the Ryukyuan Shisa, or Komainu, mythical creatures that resemble a mix between lions and dogs. Given its earliest Pokédex entry status from China, however, it may more precisely derive from the Chinese guardian lion. Statues of Komainu in pairs are used as guardians that invite good spirits and repel evil ones. Its stripes and coloration are reminiscent of tigers. It could also be based on this very Chinese word, a mythical fire-eating dog with similarities to lions and tigers. It may also draw inspiration from dogs with brindle, which is tiger-striped, coat patterns, such as the Kai Ken. In its Hisuian form, its rock typing and appearance may be based on the Komainu statues. Its ankle fur and tail resemble plumes of smoke. And its Japanese name Windy may refer to wind or windy, reflecting its defining nature of being fast like the wind, further emphasized by extreme speed being its signature move in Generation 2. Poliwag is based on a tadpole. The spiral patterns on its belly is supposed to represent how the intestines of tadpoles are sometimes seen through their transparent skin. Poliwag's Pokémon Silver Pokédex entry saying that the direction of its belly spiral differs by area relative to the equator may allude to the Coriolis effect. And its Japanese name Nyoromo may be a combination of Nyoro Nyoro, which is the onomatopoeia for wriggling, and Kodomo, which means child. Poliwhirl may be based on a tadpole and a frog. The spiral pattern on its belly is supposed to represent how the organs of tadpoles can sometimes be seen through their transparent skin. Its evolution is based on a tadpole's metamorphosis. Its arms appear to be based on gloves, and with its fighting type evolved form in mind, they may be based on boxing gloves specifically. And its Japanese name Nyorozo may be a combination of Nyoro Nyoro, which is the onomatopoeia for wriggling, and Kozo, which means youngster. Poliwrath may be based on a tadpole and a frog. The spiral pattern on its belly is supposed to represent how the organs of tadpoles can sometimes be seen through their transparent skin. It may also be based on amphibian neoteny, as it stays in tadpole form and does not metamorphose into a frog. Its brawny body and newfound fighting type, and thus boxing gloves, could be an interpretation of the frog's bulky bodies and vastly heightened muscle mass and strength in comparison to the infant tadpole. And its Japanese name Nyorobon may be a combination of Nyoro Nyoro, the onomatopoeia for wriggling, and Bon, which means boy. Abra may be based on a mystic or a psychic. It also has similarities to foxes, animals mythologically tied to magic. Given the rat-like tail of its early sprites and the fact that it sleeps 18 hours a day, Abra could also draw inspiration from opossums. Its segmented body parts and animations in some games such as Pokémon Stadiums are similar to those of marionette puppets. And its Japanese name Casey may be named after Edgar Casey, a purported psychic famous for entering self-induced trances. Kadabra appears to be based on magicians and spoon benders. It also shares similarities with foxes, animals mythologically tied to magic. Its mustache-like tufts of fur may be an exaggeration of a fox's whiskers, and the symbols on Kadabra's forehead and abdomen appear to be a reference to Zener cards, a small deck of symbols used in experiments to test for extrasensory perception and clairvoyance in the early 1930s. As it created its spoon with its psychic powers, it may be based on the practice of alchemy, an early science that sought to synthesize metals with magic. The transformation novel about Kadabra may be based on Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. And its Japanese name Jungerer may be named after Uri Geller, an illusionist famed for his spoon-bending technique. This contributed to Geller suing Nintendo for using his likeness in a character. Alakazam is based on a magician and also a spoon bender. It also shares similarities to foxes, animals mythologically tied to magic. The combination of human body, horns, ties to magic, and 5-pointed star-shaped head, similar to Pentagram, make it similar to Baphomet. As it created the spoons with its psychic powers, it may be based on the practice of alchemy, an early science that sought to synthesize metals with magic. Its horns, talons, and long mustache are also reminiscent of Chinese dragons, which similarly are considered miraculous beings. Mega Alakazam is based on a sorcerer or a wizard, or possibly sadhus with psychic powers, and its Japanese name Fudine may be named after Harry Houdini, a famed illusionist and escape artist. Machop appears to be based on a bodybuilder. It also possesses some reptilian features such as its face, 3 plate-like crests on its head, a tail, and blue-grey coloration. And its Japanese name Wanriki is derived from Wan, arm, and Riki, strength. Altogether, it is derived from an alternative reading of Wanryoku, arm strength / physical strength. Machoke appears to be based on a bodybuilder or wrestler with some reptilian traits, such as its face, 3 plate-like crests on its head, and blue-grey coloration. And its Japanese name Goriki may be derived from the word Goriki, which means Herculean strength. Machamp appears to be based on a bodybuilder or wrestler. Seeing as it has more than 2 arms and blue skin, Machamp might also be based on the Hindu god, perhaps Shiva or Vishnu. Gigantamax Machamp, appearance-wise, resembles the general depictions of the giants from the Ultra series. These particular warriors are protectors of the universe and often could only be gigantic for a limited time, much like Dynamax as a whole. Appearance-wise, this is indicated by its eyes, head ornaments, and vague silhouette. And its Japanese name Kairiki may be derived from Kairiki, which means superhuman strength, which is also the name of its category in Japanese. Bellsprout may be based on carnivorous pitcher plants, particularly those of the Nepenthes genus. Its Pokemon Red and Green Pokédex entry suggests it's based on a legendary mandrake plant, and its Japanese name Madatsubomi may be derived from Madatsubomi, which means still in bud. Weepinbell may be based on carnivorous pitcher plants, particularly those of the Nepenthes genus, and its Japanese name Utsudon may be derived from Utsubokazura, which means pitcher plant. Victreebel may be based on carnivorous pitcher plants. The blue lips in its shiny coloration may reference how a pitcher plant's rim turns blue under UV light, and its Japanese name Utsubot may be derived from Utsubokazura, which means pitcher plant, and possibly pot. Tentacool seems to be based on a jellyfish, possibly a species of box jellyfish such as Chironex fleckeri or Kurukia barnesi. Definitely wrong. The fact that it has only 2 tentacles may be based on the Tentaculata class of comb jellies, most of which are known for having a pair of long tentacles that are used to catch prey. It might also be based on the squid. Tentacool also resembles several varieties of the bug-eyed monster and other alien invaders from 1950s B-movies, which is reflected in its ability to fire lasers from the gems on its head. And its Japanese name Menukurage may be a combination of Mino Kateki, enemy, or Mino Doku, which means temptation, or literally poison to the eye, and Kurage, which means jellyfish. Tentacruel may take inspiration from the jellyfish and the Portuguese man-o'-war, as evidenced by its category and prototype English name, respectively. It also shares some characteristics of a squid. Additionally, Tentacruel resembles several varieties of the bug-eyed monster and other alien invaders from 1950s B-movies, which is reflected in its ability to fire lasers from the gems on its head. And its Japanese name Doku Kurage may be a combination of Doku, poison, and Kurage, jellyfish. Geodude is based on a living rock or boulder, and thus it may be based on an earth elemental creature like Golem. Alolan Geodude seems to have dark structures made of piezoelectric crystals or magnetite, a subset of iron ore known for its black crystalline appearance and magnetic properties. This iron ore takes shape of Geodude's eyebrows. Its electric type may also be a pun on thunder eggs. And its Japanese name Ishitsubate is a combination of Ishi, stone, and Subate, throwing stones. Graveler appears to be based on a living boulder, and thus it may be based on an earth elemental creature like Golem. Its forearms may be based on Hindu gods such as Shiva or Vishnu. It could also have been inspired by the Tsuchikorobi, a Japanese yokai known as the tumbling monster, for its habit of rolling over travelers and crushing them, as Graveler does. Alolan Graveler seems to have dark structures made of piezoelectric crystals or magnetite, a subset of iron ore known for its black crystalline appearance and magnetic properties. This iron ore takes shape of Graveler's eyebrows. The golden gems may also be inspired by piezoelectric materials or by amber and its electrostatic characteristics. This could possibly be an allusion to electron, which is ancient Greek for amber. And its Japanese name Golon may be a combination of Goron Goron, the onomatopoeia for falling rocks, and stone. Golem, as the name suggests, is based on a golem, an earth-type elemental creature, more specifically on representations in modern role-playing games, which usually are ogre-like creatures whose bodies are covered in, or made of, stones. It could also have been inspired by the Tsuchikorobe, a Japanese yokai known as the tumbling monster for its habit of rolling over travelers and crushing them, as Golem does. It might also be based on tortoises, which are believed to hold the world on their back in many myths, including the Hindu, Chinese, and Native American mythologies. Its shell may represent the tectonic plates of Earth. It also resembles septarian nodules, also known as turtle stones. Alolan Golem, like its predecessors, seems to have structures made of piezoelectric crystals or magnetite, a subset of iron ore known for its black crystalline appearance and magnetic properties. The black structure on its back may be derived from an electroshock weapon or a railgun, and its Japanese name Golonia may be a combination of Goron Goron, the onomatopoeia of rolling rocks, and Montagna, the Italian for mountain. Ponyta in its evolved form may be based on fiery steeds in mythology, such as those belonging to the Greek god Helios, Skinfaxi of Norse mythology, or the horses of the Ashvins in Hindu mythology. It may also be based on the Qilin, a legendary Chinese hooved chimerical creature sometimes depicted with parts of their bodies on fire. The fire in its shiny coloration refers to blue fire, which generally indicates a higher temperature than orange fire, but may also be caused by certain chemicals burning at a normal temperature. Galarian Ponyta may be based on a Shetland pony and modern depictions of a unicorn. The unicorn is the national animal of Scotland, which is the inspiration for the Crown Tundra, as well as being part of the United Kingdom, the country that Galar is based on. Its signature ability Pastel Veil may be inspired by the belief that unicorn horns can be used to cure diseases and neutralize poisons. And its Japanese name is still Ponyta and may be a combination of pony and bonita, which means pretty in various Iberian languages. Rapidash's horn shows it may have been inspired by unicorns, but it also displays a lot of resemblance to a regular horse. Both it and its pre-evolved form may also be based on fiery steeds in mythology, such as those of the Greek god Helios, Skinfaxi of Norse mythology, and the horses of the Ashvins in Hindu mythology. It may also be based on the Qilin, a legendary Chinese hooved chimerical creature sometimes depicted with parts of their bodies on fire. Galarian Rapidash appears to be based on more modern depictions of unicorns. Its inclusion in Galar and the Crown Tundra may be inspired by the fact that the unicorn is the national animal of Scotland, which the Crown Tundra is based on. Its signature ability Pastel Veil may be inspired by the belief that unicorn horns can be used to cure diseases and neutralize poisons. And its Japanese name Gallop is literally gallop, a form of running for hooved animals. Slowpoke's appearance may be based on hippopotamuses and giant salamanders. Due to its marine nature, physical appearance, and association with shellfish, Slowpoke may be based on a sea otter. Its ability to grow a new tail if cut off may be inspired by the biological processes of autotomy and regeneration seen in some species of lizards and salamanders. And its Japanese name Yadon may be a combination of Yadokari, hermit crab, Yadonushi, parasitic host, and Don, which means dull. It may also be a shortening of Yaduran, Slowbro's Japanese name. Slowbro's physical appearance may be based on hippopotamuses, giant otters, and giant salamanders. His appearance may also be a reference to the mythical Saizei Oni, a magical sea demon of Japanese folklore distinguished by its spiny saze, or turban-shaped, snail shell. Slowbro's shell and lifestyle may be based on hermit crabs, further supported by its category as the hermit crab Pokemon. His relationship with Shelder may be inspired by leeches. Galarian Slowbro's poison type might draw inspiration from cone snails, which have cone-shaped shells and are highly venomous. The shell's position on Slowbro's arm and used for range attacks resembles depictions of arm cannons in fictional media. And its Japanese name Yadoran was named after the famous Yugoslavian singer-songwriter Jadranka Stojakovic, who had worked for Konami during her residence in Japan. Her name is transliterated into Japanese as Yadoranka, which is dialectal for wouldn't you reside. A former colleague of hers who later joined the Game Freak brought her name to mind while naming Slowbro. Their name may also involve Yadokari, hermit crab, Yadonushi, parasitic host, and Don, which means dull. Magnemite is based on magnets and screws, and in broader terms, possibly an objectification of electromagnetism, one of the four fundamental interactions of nature. Magnemite's mysterious mechanical nature, ability to levitate, and appearance on Johto Route 39 where the Moo Moo farm is located, suggests the inspiration of UFOs and cattle kidnapping, and its Japanese name Coil may refer to electromagnetic coil. Magneton is a cluster of 3 Magnemite, which in turn seems to be based on the objectification of electromagnetism, one of the 4 fundamental interactions of nature. They are likely linked through strong electromagnetic force, and its Japanese name Rare Coil may be a combination of rare earth magnet and electromagnetic coil. Farfetch'd seems to be based on a duck. It may be inspired by the Japanese saying, literally translating to "a duck comes bearing spring onions." As a saying, it means easy target or golden opportunity. The phrase can be shortened to, which is transliterated the same as Farfetch'd's Japanese name, Kamonegi. Galarian Farfetch'd was inspired by leeks in the United Kingdom growing larger and thicker than leeks in Japan. The leek it carries resembles the giant musselburr, a larger variant of the spring onion that was first bred in Scotland, and the wild leek, one of the national symbols of Wales. Galarian Farfetch'd itself may be inspired by a hammer throw athlete given the way it wields its leek, such as swinging it in a circular motion during its attacks. It may also be based on a javelin thrower. Its serious disposition and how it holds its leek over its shoulder is typical of the lone samurai archetype in modern Japanese fiction. The leek thus could be a stand-in for the odachi, which are large traditional Japanese swords such that samurai carrying them had to haul them over their backs. And its Japanese name kamonegi may be a combination of kamo, duck, and negi, spring onion. Despite its name, doduo seems like it has more in common with ostriches than dodos. It also seems to show similarities to the moa, an extinct flightless bird indigenous to New Zealand, and the emu, another flightless bird. It also resembles the kiwi in some ways as well. According to Pocket Monsters Encyclopedia, doduo was discovered 3 years prior to the original games and is believed that its double head is a recent mutation. And its Japanese name dodo is literally dodo. Despite its name, dodrio seems like it has more in common with ostriches than dodos. It also seems to show more similarities to the moa, an extinct flightless bird, and the emu, another flightless bird. It also resembles the kiwi in some ways as well. Its crests also indicate it was based on cassowaries. The triple head might be a biological mutation. It may also draw inspiration from the Buddhist asuras, three-headed demigods whose faces are sometimes said to each embody one of the three emotions: joy, anger, and sorrow. This connection was alluded to in its Pokédex entry in the anime and in Pokémon Stadium. And its Japanese name Dodorio may be a combination of dodo, tori, which means bird, and trio. Seal may be based on an earless seal, particularly a harp seal pup due to its white fur and icy habitat. It also shares characteristics with other aquatic mammals that live in the Arctic Ocean. Its long white body is similar to a beluga whale, its horn may be inspired by a narwhal, and its tusks may be inspired by a walrus. The shape of its tail resembles a stylized waterspout or geyser, and its Japanese name Powwow may be derived from an onomatopoeia of a seal's bark. Despite the name, dugong doesn't appear to take many of its characteristics from an actual dugong. Instead, dugong may be based on earless seals, particularly harp seal pups due to its white fur and icy habitat. Its body is similar to mermaids. It also shares characteristics with various aquatic mammals that live in the Arctic Ocean. Its long, white body is similar to a beluga whale, its horn may be inspired by a narwhal, and its tusks may be inspired by a walrus. And its Japanese name is Jugon, which is just dugong. Grimer appears to be a pile of living sludge and may be based upon the general concept of living slime in popular culture. It may also be based on the imagined fear that heavy pollution caused by the leakage and or improper disposal of toxic/radioactive waste may result in the creation of new and undesirable life. It may also be based on the Dorotabo, a one-eyed, three-fingered yokai that raises from the mud of neglected, overgrown rice fields. A lowland grimer may be based on an oil slick, particularly the rainbow colours that are produced when a thin layer of oil floats on top of water. This is due to a phenomenon called thin film interference. In the real world, oil spills are a major threat to ecosystems in the world's oceans, and particularly in Hawaii, which Alola is based on. Its reduced size may reference insular dwarfism, or, since its Alolan form was brought about by human influence, dwarfing. And its Japanese name Bet Better may be derived from Beto Beto and Beta Beta, which both mean sticky. All of Muck's designs and inspirations are the same as Grimer's, so if you want to know anything about that, go watch the Grimer video. And to tide you over till tomorrow, here's the same video, but in German.
Der Schlamm scheint ein Haufen lebender Schlamm zu sein. Sie kann auch auf der vorstellenden Angst beruhen, dass eine starke Verschmutzung durch das Leckage und/oder die unsachgemäße Entsorgung von radioaktiven, giftigen Abfällen zur Schaffung neuer und unerwünschter Leben führen kann. Es kann auch auf dem Dorotabo A1 Augen-Dreifinger Yokai basieren, der aus dem Schlamm vernachlässigter, überwucherter Reisfelder aufsteigt. Ein Tieflandschlamm kann auf einem Ölschleiß basieren, insbesondere auf den Regenbogenfarben, die entstehen, wenn eine dünne Ölschicht auf dem Wasser schwimmt. Dies ist auf ein Phänomen zurückzuführen, das als Dünnschichtinterferenz bezeichnet wird. In der realen Welt sind Ölpest eine große Bedrohung für Ökosysteme in den Weltmeeren und insbesondere in Hawaii. Die Lola basiert auf
and its Japanese name Bet Beton may be derived from Beto Beto, which means sticky, and ton. Shelder is similar to a clam, with its tongue representing a clam's foot. Its ability to move by flapping its shell is likely inspired by scallops. Scallops are also related to the thorny oysters that resemble its evolved form. The fact that it latches onto slowpoke and produces a beneficial toxin may be inspired by leeches, and its Japanese name is still Shelder, which may be derived from shell and possibly shelter. Cloyster appears to be based on a bivalve of the genus Spondylus with a black pearl as its head, and its Japanese name Parshen may be a combination of pearl and shell. Ghastly may be based on a Hitodama or an Onibi, Japanese spirits similar to a will-o'-the-wisp, and poisonous gases. Some of Ghastly's traits, such as its poison type and extremely light weight, seem to be based on a Fuyuri, floating spirits said to be able to spread diseases. and its Japanese name Ghost may be derived from ghost and gas. Haunter is based on a ghost. It shares many similarities with the yokai Akaguchi, a creature with a wide mouth and long tongue whose body is covered by dark clouds, making only its head and clawed hands visible. While Haunter's long tongue is a recurring theme among many yokai, its vampiric licking might have come from the Daila, a Philippine spirit that licked the life energy of sick people until they died, or from some variants of the Akaname. Some of Haunter's traits, such as its poison type and extremely lightweight, seem to be based on the Fuyure, floating spirits said to be able to spread diseases, and its Japanese name Ghost is literally ghost. Gengar is based on a ghost. It may also be loosely inspired by the Cheshire Cat, as it possesses pointed ears, a large toothy grin, and the ability to vanish. Gengar's many abilities revolving around shadows, as well as its Pokemon category, may also suggest it is partially based on shadow people. Some of Gengar's traits, such as its poison type and extremely lightweight, seem to be based on a Fuyuri, floating spirit said to be able to spread diseases. Due to its horn-like ears, teeth, ability to float in the air, and dark nature, Gengar may also be based on the Oni. Oni sometimes have a third eye in the center of their forehead, which could be the basis for Mega Gengar. Gengar and Gengar may be derived from doppelganger, ghostly double of a living person. It may also involve Gen, phantasm. Onyx's design may be a visual pun on a rock python or an earthworm. Its great size could have been inspired by the Mongolian deathworm, an earthworm-like creature noted for its colossal length, compared to regular worms, of up to 7 feet. The Onyx lifestyle, living underground and ingesting massive amounts of soil while tunneling, is much closer to the earthworm lifestyle than the snake lifestyle. Earthworms eat soil and digest the organic material it contains, plant matter, living protozoa, rotifers, nematodes, bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms. And its Japanese name Iwark may be a combination of Iwa, rock, and either bulwark or snake. Drowsy is based on the Japanese myth of the Baku, creatures who eat bad dreams of sleeping people. Originally, they were composite animals, but later became tapirs, pig-like animals with small trunks from South America and South Asia. Drowsy's dual coloring makes it especially similar to the Malayan tapir, and its Japanese name Sleepy is derived from sleep. Hypno is based on a tapir, hypnotist, and Baku, or dreamy a spirit, of Japanese mythology. It also looks similar to a proboscis monkey. Aspects of Hypno's behavior also resemble various fairies, goblins, boogeymen, and other supernatural entities in European folklore, and its Japanese name Sleeper is literally sleeper. Krabby is based on a crab, possibly the samurai crab or the sand bubbler crab, and its Japanese name Crab is literally crab. Kingler appears to be very similar to a fiddler crab or a terrestrial crab of the genus Cardizoma, which usually have one claw larger than the other. Crabs from the Iriphiodea family also share this trait, with one of its members, Pseudocarcinus gigas, being one of the largest crab species in the world. It may also draw inspiration from pliers and hammers. Conceptually, its crown of spikes and its name may allude to the king crab. Its Gigantamax form may be based on Japanese spider crabs with a bubble beard, which may be a reference to the fact that crabs blow bubbles to keep oxygen flowing to the gills when they're out of the water. It also resembles a bearded king, and its Japanese name is still Kingler and may be a combination of king crab and angler. It may also involve fiddler crab. Voltorb seems to be based upon the concept of a living Pokeball and is often mistaken for one. As such, its design is likely inspired by Gashapon capsules, which often consist of a white half and a vibrant coloured half. The idea of Voltorb and Electrode being mistaken for the standard Pokeballs that represent items is similar to a Mimic, a monster archetype commonly found in RPGs. Its shiny coloration is possibly based on a Great Ball. Voltorb may also be based on a ball lightning, as hinted by its spherical shape, type, and explosive behaviour. Given its tendency to explode and its shape, it also shares similarities with common depictions of bombs. It may also be based on Tsukumogami, where items acquire a spirit and come to life on their 100th birthday, which might be referenced by Voltorb's national Pokedex number, which is 100. The expression on both Voltorb and Electrode may be a personification of the positive and negative charges associated with electric charge. For their Cantonian forms, Voltorb has a negative angry look, where Electrode has a positive happy look. The polarity of these expressions or charges are reversed for their Hisuian forms. Hisui and Voltorb and its grass typing may be based on the fact that Pokeballs were originally made from apricorns, which may be based on Japanese chestnuts or acorns. It may also be based on traditional Japanese fireworks. They're spherical in shape, with shells made of papier-mâché, charges inside that are often made with rice husks, and a hole where the fuse goes. The fact that it has numerous seeds inside its body may also be inspired by a seed ball, also known as a seed bomb, which are made by rolling various seeds with clay, forming a ball. The seed ball is then planted or thrown into the ground where vegetation is sparse, so that the seeds will germinate and grow. Hisui and Voltorb's shiny coloration may be based on an Ultra Ball or a Heavy Ball. Voltorb's Japanese name is Biriri Dama, which may be a combination of Biriri, the sound of an electric shock, and Tama, which means sphere. And Electrode's Japanese name, Marumine, may be a combination of Maru, circle, and mine, as in landmine. Execute may be based on both plant seeds and a clutch of eggs. It may also draw inspiration from coconuts, considering Executor's resemblance to a palm tree, and the fact that Execute is hunted by Crabrawler, which may be based on a coconut crab. It is possibly a visual pun on an eggplant, though it may also have been inspired by the egg yolk tomato or the bird's nest fungi. Their psychic type may come from the idea of telepathy, making them coordinate and act as one being. And its Japanese name Tamatama is derived from tamago, egg, as well as being a play on tamatama, which means unexpectedly. Executor appears to be based on a coconut tree or desert palm tree, and possibly the Japanese monster Jinmenju, a tree that grows human heads that are always smiling. It might also be inspired by a yucca plant, with its bulky trunk and blade-like leaves. It may also draw inspiration from Buddhist asuras, three-headed demigods whose faces are sometimes said to each express one of the emotions of joy, anger, and sorrow. This quality is also reflected in another Pokemon, Dodrio. Executor's psychic type may come from the idea of telepathy. Alolan Executor most closely resembles a coconut tree or tropical palm tree. Its dragon type may be a reference to the Dracaena genus of trees. It may also be a pun inspired by the Coca, a dragon whose name shares the same origins as the word coconut. Its dramatically larger size may also reference island gigantism, and its Japanese name Nasi may be a combination of Kokonatsu, coconuts, and Yashi, palm tree. Cubone was created out of the thought of how sad it would be for a Pokemon to die. In its design, it is reptilian in nature and seems to be loosely based on bipedal dinosaurs. It could also be based on primitive cultures that wore bones for decoration and used them for weapons. The use of its bone as a boomerang and as a weapon at the same time seems to be a reference to the boomerang's original use for hunting in indigenous Australian cultures. And its Japanese name Karakara may be derived from karakara, the onomatopoeia for light clattering, contrasting with the garagara onomatopoeia for heavy clattering in Marowak's Japanese name. Marowak is reptilian in nature and may be loosely based on bipedal dinosaurs. It could also be based on the primitive cultures that wore bones for decoration and used them for weapons. The use of its bone as a boomerang and as a weapon at the same time seems to be a reference to the boomerang's original use for hunting in indigenous Australian cultures. Alolan Marowak's design may draw inspiration from a fire dancer holding a fire staff or a fire knife, a Samoan traditional dance implement. It may have also drawn inspiration from the Polynesian concept of mana, a spiritual essence that exists in all objects and people. It also allows people to imbue their spirit into other people and objects for protection or vengeance. In addition, Alolan Marowak may have been inspired by night marchers. Ghosts from Hawaiian mythology that march at night are feared by the living and traditionally are known for carrying torches as they march. And its Japanese name Gara may be derived from Gara, the onomatopoeia for heavy clattering. Based on its Japanese name and kicking attributes, Hitmonlee may represent Japanese kickboxer Tadashi Sawamura. Hitmonlee may be a personification of martial arts that focus on kicking, such as kickboxing, savate, Muay Thai, and Taekwondo. Due to its lack of a head, Hitmonlee's design bears a resemblance to mythical headless men, such as the Jing Chan and the Hindu demon Kabanda. Hitmonlee's legs are stretchy and can act like a spring, which reminds of cartoonish concepts of punching gloves on a spring. And its Japanese name Sawamular may be derived from Tadashi Sawamura, a famous kickboxer. Based on its Japanese name and boxer aspects, Hitmonchan may represent the boxer Hiroyuki Ebihara. The colours of Hitmonchan's gloves and its normal and shiny colorations might be a reference to the red corner and the blue corner in boxing. Its Gold, Heart Gold, Generation 5 and X Pokedex entries mention that it needs a short break after fighting for 3 minutes, which is a reference to the duration of rounds in boxing. And its Japanese name Ebiwala may be derived from the Japanese world champion boxer Hiroyuki Ebihara. Lickitung may be based on lungless salamanders, some of which have projectile tongues and may secrete a sticky, irritating substance. It could also be based on lizards with long extending or projectile tongues like chameleons. Additionally, it may draw inspiration from the Akaname, a mythical yokai with a single claw on each foot and a gigantic tongue. Akaname are known to lick filth out of bathhouses, similar to Lickitung's habit of licking dirty things clean. And its Japanese name Beroringa may be a combination of bero, which is colloquial term for tongue, berori, which means licking, or bero, onomatopoeia for licking, and lingua, which is Latin for tongue. Considering its looks, its ability to float, and its tendency to explode, coughing may have been based upon a floating naval mine or living meteorite. It's also based on smog and other forms of air pollution. Coughing may also be based on the imagined fear that heavy pollution, caused by the leakage and or improper disposal of toxic and or radioactive waste, may result in the creation of new and undesirable life forms. The symbol under its face resembles the skull and crossbones, a hazard symbol for poison. And its Japanese name Dogaz may be derived from dokugasu, which means poison gas. Considering its looks, its ability to float, and its tendency to explode, wheezing may have been based upon a floating naval mine or living meteorite. It's also based on smog and other forms of air pollution. It may also be based on the imagined fear that heavy pollution, caused by the leakage and or improper disposal of toxic and or radioactive waste, may result in the creation of new and undesirable life forms. Much like coughing, the symbol under wheezing's larger face resembles the skull and crossbones, a hazard symbol for poison. The three orbs connected by stems that constitute its body resemble a molecule. Wheezing's fused heads may also be based on conjoined twins and the effects of pollution-induced birth defects. And its Japanese name Mata Dogaz may come from mata, which means again, and dokugasu, poison gas. It may also be derived from masato dogasu, mustard gas. Check out part 2 on my channel for the Galarian wheezing design. Galarian wheezing takes inspiration from steam engines. Its appearance in particular seems to be based on a stereotypical Victorian-era British gentleman wearing a chimney hat combined with actual chimneys. Both its smog-based facial hair and its shield Pokédex entry, which describes wheezing taking the form as a result of heavy air pollution, likely draw reference from the heavy smog that afflicted London during the Victorian era. Its ability to clean the air of pollutants may be based on air scrubbers, referring to the fact that they expel clean air as referenced in its sword Pokédex entry. The way Galarian wheezing feeds, absorbing polluted air and then releasing it through the chimney-like tubes on top of their heads as purified air, may have been based on the feeding method of sponges, which are animals that feed through filtrations. Its design may also draw inspiration from nuclear cooling towers, referring to the clouds that they make being steam and not smoke, as evidenced by its signature move, Strange Steam. Additionally, its fairy type and appearance may be a reference to leprechauns. Galarian wheezing's shiny form may be based on sepia-tone photography. Galarian wheezing's resemblance to a Victorian-era British nobleman, along with its ability in neutralizing gas, may be a play on noble gases, which are gaseous elements known for being highly unreactive and are typically used to prevent unwanted reactions from occurring. Rhyhorn's design appears to be inspired by an Indian rhinoceros, which has similar plated armor, and an Uintatherium, from whom it may have taken its flat head and horn. Its design also has elements of ceratopsids. And its Japanese name Saihorn is a combination of Sai, which means rhinoceros, and horn. Rhydon was created with a kaiju motif. Its design appears to draw inspiration from a rhinoceros and some aspects of various dinosaurs, such as ceratopsids. Its horn may be based on drills. And its Japanese name Sidon may be a combination of Sai, rhinoceros, and Don. Chansey's names, the fact that it shares nutritious eggs, is very rare and runs very quickly, suggests it may be based on literal luck and its elusiveness. It also serves the typical RPG game role of a medic. Chansey's tendency to carry eggs in its pouch is very reminiscent of a monotreme, mainly the echidnas or marsupial, but it may also simply be based on a general concept of females and motherhood. As the Pokédex mentions its frequent laying of nutritious eggs, Chansey may also be based on chickens or other poultry, and its ears give it the semblance of an axolotl. And Chansey's Japanese name Lucky is literally lucky. Due to the mystery around Tangela's appearance under its vines, it may be based on the swamp monster from the short story It by Theodore Sturgeon. In addition, it may also be inspired by the Sargassum seaweed monsters written by the English writer William Hope Hodgson, which inspired monsters in Japanese pop culture. It may also be based on the Selaginella lepidophylla, a plant that forms tumbleweeds, and Medusa, a gorgon of Greek mythology, which is especially supported by the fact that Tangela's beta name was Medusa. In addition, it may be based on a green man, a motif represented as a face surrounded by leaves and vines. All of these potential inspirations may have also influenced Tangela's shiny form's green coloration. Its Pokédex entries state that its vines will be entangled with its surroundings. This may be a reference to thigmotropism, a biological reaction plants have towards contact that encourages them to coil around objects they touch as they grow, allowing stability in their stems and branches. And its Japanese name Monjara may be a combination of monster, moja moja, which means shaggy or unkempt, and Kemukujara, densely covered in thick hair. Kangaskhan seems to be based on a kangaroo with elements of Mongolian lamina armor, evident in its helmet-like plate with ear flaps and its epaulets. Its appearance may also be based on a kaiju. The fact that the move Dizzy Punch originally used to be Kangaskhan's signature move may come from the cartoonish depiction of kangaroos as boxers. It may also be based on a tree kangaroo, given its stockier build, wider face, and larger nails in comparison to a terrestrial kangaroo or the Procoptodon, an extinct prehistoric genus of terrestrial kangaroo known for their short faces, specifically the species of P. gallia, the largest known kangaroo species to have ever lived. And its Japanese name Garura may be a combination of kangaroo and ruler. Horsey is based on a seahorse. Its category may be a reference to the Japanese word for seahorse, which is derived from the myth that a seahorse that lives for a century will transform into a dragon. Its ability to shoot ink is reminiscent of a squid, and the shape of its snout and sniper ability are reminiscent of a water gun. And its Japanese name Tatu may be derived from Tatsu, dragon, or Tatsuno Otoshigo, seahorse, or literally illegitimate child of a dragon. Seadra is the same as Horsey, but with the added point of its spiky poisonous fins being reminiscent of a lionfish, and its Japanese name is still Seadra, and may be a combination of sea, seahorse, dragon, sea dragon, a type of animal related to seahorses, and Hydra, a mythological water creature. Goldeen seems to be based on the Tosakine, curly fantail breed of goldfish due to its flat tail and red and white scales. It might also be inspired by the Kohaku variety of koi fish. Its billowing tail and prominent lips and eyelids give it a feminine appearance reminiscent of a queen wearing a dress and makeup. This royal theme may come from the Japanese word for goldfish, which is kingyo. Its horn may be a reference to Matsya, a giant horned fish that is one of the avatars assumed by the Hindu deity Vishnu. And its Japanese name Tosakinto may be derived from Tosakine, curly fantail goldfish, a distinctive breed of goldfish. Sea King may be based on the Oranda breed of goldfish due to its plump body and billowing tail, specifically the Azuma Nishiki variety. It might also be inspired by the Sankei variety of koi fish. Its behavior is reminiscent of the sockeye salmon, whose bodies flush red as they swim upstream and climb waterfalls during their breeding season. Its horn may be a reference to Matsya, a giant horned fish that's one of the avatars assumed by the Hindu deity Vishnu. Sea King's royal theme may come from the Japanese word for goldfish, which is kingyo. And its Japanese name Azumao may be derived from Azuma Nishiki, a breed of goldfish, and O, king. Staryu seems to be based on a stylized starfish, such as the common starfish or the necklace starfish, with its vivid red center surrounded by bright plates. Like Staryu, many real starfish have the ability to regenerate lost body parts. Given its ties to outer space and ability to emit light, it may also be based on literal stars and meteors. It is also reminiscent of ornate jewelry, with its central core resembling a polished cabochon gem mounted inside a golden prong setting. The standard color of its gem resembles a ruby, while its shiny color resembles a sapphire. Its tendency to rapidly spin its body is reminiscent of shuriken and propellers. Staryu's gender unknown designation may be based on hermaphroditism observed in some real-life starfish species. In the Pocket Monsters Encyclopedia and the original Japanese version of the anime episode The Water Flowers of Cerulean City, Staryu is classified as hermaphroditic. Additionally, Staryu's ties to outer space, its Japanese name, its ability to learn various beam attacks, and the gem in its middle acting like a heart may all be a reference to the Ultraman series, where Ultra Warriors have similar gems on their chest and start flashing when they are weak, just like Staryu's gem as shown in the anime. And its Japanese name Hitodaman may be a combination of Hitode, starfish, and man, possibly in reference to Ultraman. Starmie seems to be based on a stylized starfish such as the purple sea star due to its colour, the sunflower sea star due to its many arms, or the Hefferman starfish due to its colour and central pattern, especially in its shiny form. For all the other origin inspirations for Starmie, check out the Staryu short, as I couldn't fit them all into this one, and its Japanese name is still Starmie and may be a combination of star and mystery. Its name in English may also involve me in opposition to the U in Staryu. Mr. Mime seems to be based on a mime artist, specifically the pantomime of pretending to be trapped in invisible boxes. Its brightly coloured body is also reminiscent of a clown and a court jester. The blue growths on its head resemble a fool's cap, and its curled feet resembles a jester's hooked-toed shoes. Its curled feet are also reminiscent of modern depictions of elves. Elves are often portrayed as fairy-like beings, and in some cases the terms are used interchangeably. This may explain why Mr. Mime was changed to be part fairy with the type's introduction in Generation 6. Its jerky animations cause it to resemble a jointed puppet or doll. In Japanese folklore, inanimate objects that are possessed by spirits and come to life are known as tsukumogami. Galarian Mr. Mime appears to be based on both tap dancers and ice skaters. The soles of its feet resemble tap shoes, the blue spots on the side of its head resemble earmuffs, its fingers resemble mittens, and the ice on its chest resembles a necktie. Its round body is also reminiscent of a snowman. And its Japanese name Barriered may be a combination of barrier, referring to the invisible walls it can create, and weird. As indicated by its category, Scyther seems to be based on a mantis, most closely resembling the European mantis and the Chinese mantis, with arms shaped like scythes. It also possesses some reptilian characteristics, e.g. head, teeth, claws, bipedal stance, that give it similarities to dromaeosaurid dinosaurs, as well as to therizinosaurids, scythe lizards, due to the shape of its arms. As indicated in its Pokédex entries, it may also be based on a ninja. There are similarities to the Kamikiri, a hair-cutting yokai with sharp claws and teeth that may look like an insect. And its Japanese name Strike is literally strike. Jinx may be based on a Nordic or Viking woman, possibly Hel, goddess of the underworld, or Gangaro, face black. The original Jinx's black skin and prominent lips bore a startling resemblance to this iconography, now largely abandoned in media. Also, the fact that Jinx are depicted as Santa's helpers in the anime may reference the folklore character Svarte Pete. Jinx also has traits of a female opera singer, especially the iconic cartoon depiction of the Fat Lady. Pokemon Snap and its Generation 3 sprites depict it singing, especially the Pokemon Emerald sprite that animates it singing a high note. Specifically, it may be inspired by the Ride of the Valkyries from the opera Die Valkyrie, the second of 4 operas by Richard Wagner based on Norse mythology. In this context, it is possible that the Valkyries, mythical warrior maidens who gathered the souls of those slain in battle, are another inspiration for Jinx. Check out my channel for part 2 of the Jinx inspirations. Jinx may have origins in the Japanese snow spirits known as Yuki Onna, who lack feet akin to Jinx's feet being covered by its dress. It may also be based on Yama Uba, also called Yamamba, a yokai that's described as always wearing a tattered kimono, having whitish blonde hair, and living on cold mountaintops. Yamamba is also slang for the extreme end of Gangaro fashion, which involves bleached hair, artificial tanning, and heavy applying of brightly coloured lipstick. Jinx's revised colouring may be based on a purple discoloration of the skin, a common symptom of frostbite. This fits with Jinx's ice type and how it's found in very cold places. And its Japanese name Rougella may be derived from rouge, a type of makeup, and also the French word for red, and also from the French verb geler, to freeze, to be freezing cold. Electabuzz seems to be based on the Japanese Oni, a horned ogre that wears tiger skin as clothing and sometimes have powers of thunder and lightning. Most notably, Raijin, who's often depicted as an Oni, is a god of lightning. Its tail resembles that of a tiger, and its horns may be based on Tesla coils. And its Japanese name Elebu may be a combination of electric or eleki, which means electric, and bunbun, which means buzz. Magmar seems to be a combination of a booby or duck with a mythical salamander of fire. However, the tail and the spikes on its back resemble those of an iguana. It is possibly overall based on a Karura, depicted in Japanese Hindu Buddhist mythology as a bird-like, fire-breathing creature. Its face may also be based on Hyotoko masks, which resemble a man blowing fire through a bamboo pipe. And its Japanese name Boober may be a combination of booby, another type of seabird, and a corruption of burn. Warning: I am going to horribly butcher multiple Latin words. Pinsir seems to be based on a stag beetle, possibly Prosopis coilus inclinatus, a species commonly used in insect fighting. Its thorn-like mandibles most closely resemble that of Lucanus maculifemeratus hoppi, whereas its mega-evolved form's diagonal spikes resemble Chalcodes versicolor. And its Japanese name Kylios may be a combination of the Greek letter X, which is Kai, Kai, which means sheer, Kai, which means brawny, Cross, referring to its scissor-like horns, and Korios, which is Greek for bug. Tauros is based on a bull or a bison, and may also be based on the constellation Taurus. Its tails may be based on a whip, more specifically the cat o' nine tails. Paldean Taurus's appearance, typing, and the fact that it's found in a region inspired by the Iberian Peninsula suggest inspiration from the Spanish fighting bull. The black colour could also be inspired by the Osborne bull, which has become a cultural emblem of Spain. The two variations of Paldean Tauros, being fire and water type specifically, could be a reference to two of the most famous and controversial bullfighting practices in Spain: the Toro Embolado, mainly from the Valencian community where the bull's horns are set on fire, and the Bos Alamar from the Valencian region of Denaya, where the bull runs down the Marqués de Campos Street and end up swimming in the Mediterranean Sea. The aqua breed form may also be loosely based on a water buffalo, and the form of its tails could take inspiration from ship propellers or water wheels, as well as the triskelion, a popular motif used by ancient European cultures, especially the Celts. and its Japanese name Kentauros may be derived from Kentauros, which is Greek for centaur. Magikarp is based on the Asian carp, which are easily frightened by disturbances in water and can jump 8 to 10 feet, or 2.5 to 3 meters, in the air. Its shiny coloration may be a visual pun on a goldfish. The golden dorsal fin of Magikarp may be based on a crown, which likely originate from the pun on the Japanese word for goldfish, kingyo. Magikarp's permanently open mouth may be a reference to konobori, a carp-shaped windsock traditionally flown to celebrate Children's Day in Japan. Magikarp's evolution into Gyarados is based on a legend about how carp that leaped over the Dragon Gate would become dragons. Several waterfalls and cataracts in China are believed to be the location of the Dragon Gate. This legend is an allegory of the drive and efforts needed to overcome obstacles. This may have inspired an element in Pokemon Snap where, after certain steps are taken, a Magikarp will splash its way into a waterfall where it evolves. And its Japanese name Koi King may be a combination of koi, carp, and king, which may come from kingyo, goldfish. Gyarados appears to be based on a sea dragon or sea serpent and a Chinese dragon. It may also be partially based on the Kraken, as both are destructive sea monsters that are infamous for terrorizing humans. To add to this, one of Gyarados' original names was considered to be Skull Kraken. Gyarados' flying type may be a reference to konobori, a carp-shaped windsock traditionally flown to celebrate Children's Day in Japan, formerly called Tango no Seku. Though it is more likely to be associated with Eastern dragons in general due to their associations to water and sky, such as the Azure Dragon. It could also be inspired by the South African cryptid Inkanyamba, a giant winged eel that causes storms when angry, a trait Gyarados is famous for. And its Japanese name is still Gyarados, but according to Ken Sugimori, Gyarados' name has no specific origin and was chosen merely for its force. However, it may be variously derived from Gyakusatsu, slaughter, Gyakyo, adversity, or Gyakuten, reversal/turnaround, Arasu, to devastate, and Odosu, to threaten. Mega Gyarados' appearance bears similarities to the aforementioned Konobori. Furthermore, its design, specifically its large dorsal fins, strongly resembles that of the unnamed legendary water Pokemon seen in the Pokemon anime episode Enlighten Up, first aired on April 18, 2002, in which Misty recounts seeing an unknown water Pokemon. This creature may have inspired the design of Mega Gyarados when it was eventually created 10 years later. On December 2018, the beta sprite for Gyarados was showcased on the NHK broadcast in Japan, bearing the resemblance of a worm-like body with a mouthful of sharp teeth, barbels on the top of its head, and multiple fins on the side of its body. The inspiration for this original design may be related to the myth of the Namazu or Onomazu from 16th century Japan. Namazu was known as a catfish that was said to destroy cities with earthquakes and appears during times of human conflict, much like Gyarados' Pokédex entries in the original first 2 generations of games. Namazu's history as a mythos is also directly tied to Lake Biwa, the real-life version of the Lake of Rage, where said earthquakes were said to occur. This idea was later replaced with the Dragon Gate myth and rehashed in Gen 3 as the inspiration for Whiscash, appropriately named Namazun. Lapras may be based on the fabled Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. The creature and this Pokemon resemble an extinct order of marine reptiles known as Plesiosauria, who lived between the Triassic and Cretaceous periods. Lapras' shell and horn may be inspired by Placiodonts, close relatives of plesiosaurs. Its intelligence, singing, and rarity can be comparable to some cetaceans, especially blue whales and humpback whales. Its long neck and robust body may also be inspired by the mastheads and hulls of Viking ships. In addition, its shell, combined with its aquatic nature and history of being hunted to near extinction, may be based on sea turtles. As suggested in Pocket Monsters Encyclopedia, Lapras could be the turtle ridden by the folklore hero Taru Urashima. This is also implied by its category, the transport Pokemon, along with it often being presented in various pieces of media as a form of transportation across bodies of water. Gigantamax Lapras may be based on a cruise ship or possibly a music box or ocarina. And its Japanese name Laplace may be a reference to Pierre-Simon Laplace, a mathematician who wrote several books on the mathematical properties of the sea and tides. Alternatively, Laplace could maybe derive from La Place, French for seat, referring to how passengers sit on its back like a seat to be ferried across bodies of water. In the 6th issue of Best Buy's Gamer magazine, Game Freak developers Junichi Masuda and Ken Sugimori revealed that Ditto was originally based on the iconic smiley face. Its eyes and mouth are exactly like the colon close bracket, which is an emoticon representing the smiley. Ditto's ability to change into others brings reminiscence of varieties of mythical creatures like changelings, doppelgangers, or skinwalkers. Additionally, Ditto strongly resembles an amoeba, a single-celled organism with no definite shape. This may emphasize its ability to alter its cellular composition. This could also explain why Ditto is unavailable through breeding, since single-celled organisms reproduce differently from multicellular plants and animals. It also could partially be based on an undifferentiated cell, a cell in the body that can change into any other cell by sampling it. In addition, it could have been based on a blob or modeling clay. And its Japanese name Metamon may be a combination of metamorphose, to undergo a physical transformation, or meta, which is a prefix meaning encompassing or transcending, which may refer to transform, allowing Ditto to take on the shape of every other Pokemon, and monster. In the 2018 art book EVs, Motofumi Fujiwara revealed that the idea for Eevee came from Satoshi Tajiri's request to have a Pokemon that evolves into multiple types. Fujiwara himself designed Eevee as a blank slate for its varied evolutions. As such, while Eevee has traits of foxes, dogs, and cats, it is not based on any specific animal. Fujiwara also envisioned Eevee as a creature that could exist in people's memories, namely, vague memories of seeing a cat or dog-like creature that players might have experienced in their childhood. And its Japanese name is Ibui, which much like its English name is a pronunciation of EV, the first two letters in the word evolution. According to designer Atsuko Nishida, Vaporeon and especially its tail were designed with the idea of mermaids in mind. It also resembles various aquatic creatures such as fish and dolphins. Its ears resemble a mix between a fish's fin and a fennec fox's ears. Vaporeon may also be inspired by the Telkines of Greek mythology or a pun on the catfish. Due to the fringe around its neck resembling a ruff and a lion's mane, Vaporeon may also be a possible reference to the heraldic sea lion or the similar-looking merlion, a national symbol of Singapore. Its ability to become invisible and turn into water might be inspired by the Azrai. Vaporeon's resemblance to both carnivorans and cetaceans could be based on primitive whales such as Cuchicitus. And its Japanese name Showers is literally showers, referring to a bathroom shower or a rain shower. Jolteon's physical anatomy seems to be primarily based on a herding dog or possibly a fennec fox with several traits of coyotes. It also resembles jackrabbits and other types of hares or felines such as the serval and the cheetah. The latter is known for being the fastest land animal, which may be alluded to with Jolteon's speed. Its needle-like fur may derive from porcupines, while its ability to launch its fur may be inspired by the myth that porcupines are able to shoot out their quills when threatened. Additionally, Jolteon may have been inspired by the Raiju, a beast from Japanese mythology whose body is made of lightning and may take the form of a dog. And its Japanese name Thunders is literally thunders. Flareon's overall design has traits from multiple different mammal species. Its long ears, orange coloration and fluffy tail may derive from foxes such as the red fox, while its body shape and fluffy mane may be based on lions or certain cat breeds such as the Norwegian forest cat and Maine Coon. It may also be inspired by certain rabbit breeds such as the lionhead, and its Japanese name Booster is literally booster, possibly referring to the booster rocket. Porygon seems to be based on a bird or paper crane that has been rendered using digital software. The head tipping motion it displays in some games is reminiscent of a drinking bird toy. The flat shapes comprising its body are similar to the polygon mesh used to create 3D computer graphics. Its Pokédex entries imply a connection to artificial intelligence and robotic spacecraft. In a 1997 interview with the magazine Famimaga 64, Satoshi Tajiri stated that Porygon was created out of irony. According to him, during the development of Pokémon Red and Green, people kept telling him that he was too late on making a game for the Game Boy and that he should start making games with 3D polygonal graphics for next generation consoles. As a result, he included Porygon, a Pokémon made out of polygons, in the sprite-based Pokémon Red and Green, hence the irony. And its Japanese name is still Porygon and is a corruption of Polygon. Porygon seems to be based on a bird or paper crane that has been rendered using digital software. The head tipping motion it displays in some games is reminiscent of a drinking bird toy. The flat shapes comprising its body are similar to the polygon mesh used to create 3D computer graphics. Its Pokédex entries imply a connection to artificial intelligence and robotic spacecraft. In a 1997 interview with the magazine Famimaga 64, Satoshi Tajiri stated that Porygon was created out of irony. According to him, during the development of Pokémon Red and Green, people kept telling him that he was too late on making a game for the Game Boy and that he should start making games with 3D polygonal graphics for next generation consoles. As a result, he included Porygon, a Pokémon made out of polygons, in the sprite-based Pokémon Red and Green, hence the irony. And its Japanese name is still Porygon and is a corruption of Polygon. Ammonite and Amistar appear to be based on the Ammonite, prehistoric mollusks related to the present-day squid and octopus that lived between the Devonian period and the Cretaceous period. In addition, Amistar's method of grabbing prey and cracking their shells with ring-shaped mouths may be based on Anomalocaris. It may also draw inspiration from the Nautilus, a species of modern-day mollusk. Ammonite's Japanese name Omnite may be a combination of Omugai, Nautilus, and Ammonite. Amistar's Japanese name Omstar may be a combination of Omugai and Star. Kabuto's design consists of a mix of Trilobite, a prehistoric arthropod that lived between the Cambrian and Permian periods, and the still living but considered a living fossil horseshoe crab. Similar to how Kabuto is based on horseshoe crabs, Kabutops resembles Eurypterids, prehistoric arthropods that hunted in seas and rivers and are believed to have been related to modern horseshoe crabs. The large head is also identical to the cephalon in trilobites, and the spines down the back resemble their thoracic sections, though the size and predatory nature closely resemble Eurypterids more. Because of the cross similarities, it may also be based on the Chirurus genus of trilobites. Kabuto's Japanese name is still Kabuto and may be derived from Kabuto, which means helmet, and Kabutogani, which means horseshoe crab. Kabutop's Japanese name is still Kabutops and may be derived from Kabutobi, triops, Kabuto, helmet, triops, and ops, common suffix in names of prehistoric animals derived from the ancient Greek word for face. Aerodactyl's design is mostly based on pterodactyloids, a family of pterosaurs that lived in the Jurassic period. Its long tail, however, is derived from rhamphorhynchids. Additionally, its pointed wings, spaded tail, and robust jaws give it the resemblance of a dragon, specifically wyverns. The rocks that appear on Mega Aerodactyl's body is a reference to atavism, whereby an ancestral genetic trait reappears after having been lost through evolutionary change in previous generations. The rock on Mega Aerodactyl's chin is similar to goatees, and its Japanese name Terra may be derived from pterosaur or pteranodon. Snorlax's appearance and behaviour of constantly eating and sleeping were directly inspired by Game Freak planner Koji Nishino. Additionally, Snorlax may be loosely based on hibernating bears or teddy bears. It may also be based on a food coma, as it eats large quantities of food then takes a nap, both of which are symptomatic of the condition. Snorlax's Gigantamax form resembles a small hill, and its Japanese name Kabigon is derived from Kirby, or Kabi, the eponymous main character of Nintendo's Kirby video game series. In an interview with Game Informer, Junichi Masuda stated that Koji Nishino, the main inspiration for Snorlax, used to be called Kirby during the development of Pokémon Red and Green because of his large appetite. Kabigon may also involve Kabi, mold, noting the fact that Snorlax will eat anything, even moldy food. Articuno seems to take inspiration from various mythical birds such as the Persian simurgh, huma, and roc, or the Chinese feng huang. Many of these rare birds were said to live on high mountain peaks and are symbols of good fortune. Tales of their benevolence might be the inspiration behind Articuno's reputation for rescuing people. Anatomically, it is very similar to the white-throated magpie jay, and its streamer-like tail feathers are similar to the resplendent quetzal. As suggested by the Pokédex entries, the three legendary birds appear to be embodiments of seasons. Articuno represents winter, while Zapdos and Moltres represent summer and spring, respectively. Autumn is, however, unrepresented. Galarian Articuno's facial feathers resemble a mask worn at a masquerade ball, as well as some form of protective eyewear such as glasses, goggles, or a visor. Its freezing glare might be a reference to the cockatrice, a mythical reptile bird monster that can turn people to stone with its gaze. Its shiny coloration is similar to Cantonian Articuno's regular coloration, and its Japanese name Frieza is literally Frieza, that which freezes. Zapdos seems to be based on the Native American legend of the Thunderbird, a spirit of thunder, lightning, and rain that took the form of a giant bird. The beating of the wings was said to create thunder. It may also have been based on the lightning bird, a bird created from wherever lightning hits the earth. Aesthetically, it may be based on hummingbirds due to the long beak, the rather simple wings, and described violent behaviour. As suggested by the Pokédex entries, the three legendary birds appear to be embodiments of seasons. Zapdos represents summer, while Articuno and Moltres represent winter and spring, respectively. Autumn is, however, unrepresented. Galarian Zapdos appears to be based on ratites, with kiwis in particular matching its brown feather and long beak. Due to its speed, it may also be based on a roadrunner. Its powerful kicks might also draw influence from the secretary bird, a mostly terrestrial bird that hunts by stomping and kicking its prey. Its legs could also be derived from the English pouter, a pigeon breed known for such. Its shiny coloration is similar to Cantonian Zapdos' regular coloration, and its Japanese name Thunder is literally thunder. Moltres seems to be based on the legends of firebirds such as the phoenix, the Slavic firebird, or the Bennu. It may also be based on the vermilion bird of the Chinese four symbols, which represents the element of fire and the direction of south. In addition, it may be based on a heron because of their similarities in body shape. As suggested by the Pokédex entries, the three legendary birds appear to be embodiments of seasons. Moltres represents spring, while Articuno and Zapdos represent summer and winter, respectively. Autumn is, however, unrepresented. Galarian Moltres appears to resemble a cormorant. Its ability to make opponents fatigued with its aura may allude to burnout, a psychological condition of which one of the main symptoms is exhaustion. Its shiny coloration is similar to the Cantonian Moltres' regular coloration, and its Japanese name Fire is literally fire. Dratini appears to be based on sea serpents or ryu, traditional Japanese dragons or Chinese dragons who bring good luck. Its constant growth is similar to that of snakes, who grow as long as they live. Additionally, its reclusive nature, aquatic habitat, and the fact that for a long time it was considered a myth are reminiscent of the Loch Ness Monster. And its Japanese name Mini Ryu may be a combination of miniature and Ryu, dragon. Dragonair appears to be based on sea serpents or ryu, traditional Japanese dragons or Chinese dragons who bring good luck. It also resembles a snake, its tail even resembling that of a rattlesnake. The wings on its head resemble those of the sandals and hat of the Greek god Hermes, and its long snake-like body may be a reference to the snakes on his scepter. Dragonair may also be based on the Imugi, a proto-dragon that resembles a snake and lives in water or caves, much like Dragonair. After an Imugi lives 1,000 years, a jewel called a Yuijo will fall from the sky. If the Imugi catches it, it will become a true dragon. The jewels on Dragonair's neck and tail might also be a reference to Chinese dragons' association with pearls. Specifically, the flaming pearl often placed under dragon's chin, which symbolizes prosperity, power, immortality, thunder, and grants wishes. And its Japanese name Hakuryu may be derived from Hakuryu, white dragon. Dragonite resembles Japanese dragons, European dragons, or fairy dragons. Its description as the guardian of the sea may also suggest it has elements similar to the Chinese dragon. In its Japanese name Kairyu may be from Kairyu, sea dragon. It may also involve Kaiju, monster, Kai, cheerful, and Hakai, destruction. Mewtwo has some embryo characteristics, but its body structure is much larger as a result of gene splicing. It also has some characteristics of a grey alien and a salamander. Mega Mewtwo Y, much like Mew, has characteristics of a vertebrate embryo. And its Japanese name is still Mewtwo and may be a combination of Mew or mutant and 2. Designer Shigeki Morimoto stated that Mew's design was based on Mewtwo. Its design was made simpler than Mewtwo in order to take up less space on the cartridge. Mew's overall physical appearance appears to be based on domestic cats. Several of Mew's features, such as a short muzzle and large hind feet, are commonly found in cats. Its morphology is also vaguely similar to a Jerboa, having large hind legs and a long skinny tail. Mew's earliest design in Pokémon Red and Green resembled a vertebrate embryo, featuring a large head and small body. Mew was soon revised and became mostly mammalian with cat-like traits, while still retaining several embryonic features such as having short fine hair and small forearms. Mew is believed by scientists to be the last universal common ancestor of all other Pokémon, which, along with its resemblance to an embryo, may be a reference to the recapitulation theory. And its Japanese name is still Mew and may be a combination of mutant or mutation and new. It may also involve Meow, wonderful, exquisite. According to Julian Bardakov, the French localizer for Pokémon Red and Blue, he asked if Mew's name was based on the English onomatopoeia for a cat's meow and was explicitly told it was not.